Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging we are in Treaty 1 territory and a traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me is Brent McIntyre to my left and Lynn Nisbet to my far left. The assessor today is David Penner and the recording secretary is Michelle Neepin. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements of the applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by the council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal information, how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. So, can you do the swearing in? Who's going to go first? You want? Okay. So, it's going to 1800 Alice Avenue.
Do you affirm or do you swear in this word, right? Can you state your full name, please?
David Thomas George Penner.
Do you swear that the evidence about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Forget you swear. Can you state your full name, please?
Bradford Scott Workstrom.
Do you swear that the evidence about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the first item today will be 1800 Alice. So you can proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, the roll number here is 0702123550, 1800 Ellis Avenue. The value in the roll is $3,013,000. There's a preliminary matter in this case. We're asking for the burden of proof to be placed upon the applicant for non-cooperation under section 53(3)B of the MAA. The supporting docs for our non-compliance request is shown in my brief on page 16. There's a signed card there indicating the registered letter was received. The mailing envelope is on page 17. The registered letter that went out dated June the 8th is on page 18. And based on the fact that we didn't receive the mailer back, it's a non-compliance and we're asking for the deferral penalty.
Okay, on the non-compliance, Mr. Bergstrom?
I have no questions for the assessor.
Okay, any questions on non-compliance?
No questions.
Okay, we'll hear from you on the non-compliance then.
We have no submission to make with respect to section 54(3.2.
Okay. I guess we need to have a brief pause so we can discuss it.
Shall we step up?
Yeah, that's probably. No, we'll step out.
Don't you guys have a cone of silence? Like,
No, if you step out, then we have to turn camera and everything off. Apparently, there's some pretty good lip readers.
like football.
Do you want to flip the switch?
Yep.
I want to hold up my clip.
Okay, given the submissions, we will grant the non-compliance, in which case it's your turn to go first. Can you?
We have Peter here this morning seeking a confirmation of the assessment under section 54.1.
Okay, so then you decline to present any.
That's set forth in our written submission.
Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Penner, can you read through the, just give us the highlights of your submission?
Sure, okay. The value in the roll is $3,013,000. This is derived on an income approach, which is shown on page 6 of my brief. Essentially, we only had 2015 data to use, and we projected some modest increases from that to derive our value. The stabilized column on the far right shows those projections for both revenue and expenses, and based on a cap rate of 12%, we've determined the value to be $3,013,000, and we ask for that to be confirmed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the panel on the? No questions. Okay, thank you. So that will conclude the evidence on that one. Then we go next to 1719 Portage. So you can proceed, Mr. Penner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The roll number here is 07569034600. The address is 1719 Portage Avenue. This is the St. James Hotel. I have some commentary at the bottom of my page 1. The hotel building has been completely gutted and rebuilt with a permit value of $3,400,000. A supplemental assessment will be issued to reflect the new structure upon completion and verification of the property characteristics. So I would ask that the value that we have presently showing of $1,973,000 merely be confirmed. As I say, a supplementary assessment will be issued to reflect the new structure and new characteristics of this property. Thank you.
Okay, any?
I have no questions and no objection to the assessor's request.
Okay. So the SUP will completely replace for the entire taxation year?
Yes, it will be for part of 2019 and all of 2020.
Okay, thank you very much. That was short and sweet. Now we come to the 101 Shrewsbury.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Can you state your full name, please?
Robert John Flacco.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Say.
Okay, now, I understand there's once again, a non-cooperation, non-compliance requested, so can you lead us through that?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The roll number here is 12097530600. The property address is 101 Sherbrooke Street. As you mentioned, we're asking for a deferral penalty due to non-compliance. The details on that request start on page 2. For the financial year 2017, we sent our normal request for that information in April of 2018 and did not receive that information until May 10th of 2019. In short, it was a full year late. The owner returned the 2016 financials with the 2017 request and the 2017 financials with the 2018 request. Essentially, the financials are 1 year late, and thus we are requesting deferral penalties. As assessors, it's not our job to determine why there was a non-compliance, only that there was non-compliance. It should be noted that this is the second cycle in a row for non-compliance on this particular owner. Last cycle, the financials, the 2015 financials were received a year late in April of 17. So for whatever reason, the owner has been submitting the financials a year late, and we have no choice but to ask for the non-compliance penalty.
Okay, any questions of the assessor on the non-compliance?
So in fact, you're confirming though that the owner has been making submissions on time, it's just sending you the wrong stuff.
That would be accurate.
And there was never any questions asked as to why, or any phone call made as to, oh, you made a mistake, could you please send us the correct stuff?
Well, I think this happened last cycle, and deferral was granted in that case. So it was brought to your attention, I'm sure you were aware of it. In fact, we've had some discussion, and I think you offered to help the owner get the correct financials in.
Yes.
So I believe, when this happened last cycle, we were suggesting that hopefully this could be corrected. And going forward, I believe we're finally on track. The 18 information was submitted to us shortly after the 17 information, and provided the owner complies with our 2019 request going out in April, we should have no problem going forward. But it doesn't change the fact that there's non-compliance in this cycle.
We've agreed to a number on this particular property?
That's correct. We've had some discussion, and we're not a part of the number.
And the difference between your original assessment and the current assessment is? Or the proposed assessment?
Well, I guess we should rule on the non-compliance issue.
Yeah, we
first,
have to rule
first
on
and foremost.
non-compliance first before dealing with
Okay.
quantum.
Thank you. If you'd like me to speak on it now?
Are you, any questions from the panel to the assessor on the non-compliance? Okay, you can speak.
I would like to point out that my history, it was as a hotel assessor from 1998 till 2006. In 1998, I was pulling teeth to get information from property owners. And it was awful, it was deceptive, we really needed something in place. Well, now something's in place, but it's abusive. This gentleman has extenuating circumstances. And these extenuating circumstances, he still has the wherewithal to provide the stuff, it's just that he's confused on what to provide. Now, if I ask you to look at my brief, the very last page. This gentleman in 2014, knowing him many years prior, was as sharp as a tack. In 2014, he was in a severe boating accident where he broke his neck in 2 places, was concussed, still deals with the trauma. He is a fragment of the man that he used to be, in my estimation. But he manages this hotel, and he does it well. The performance of the hotel has been consistent. And that's the other thing. There's no highs and lows with this particular hotel. The performance of this hotel is within small percentages of each year. So the assessor can count on and rely on what the income is on this particular property. So there's no surprises here. It's not like we're trying to pull a fast one. One phone call, the assessor would have received what he needed had he asked. It's an error, is what this is. He's confused on what year he was to provide. There is extenuating circumstances. He does have some issues focusing on what is required, and if you've looked at the questionnaire for the hotel thing, it's for some reason they want to make it like a CRA document where you transfer this line to that line, and why? It's nonsensical. At any rate, what we're dealing with here is a guy who not only has great intentions of complying with the city, but has complied, just with the wrong information. And he's done it 2 years in a row. So now that we've agreed to a number which is considerably less than what the original assessment is, this man is now gonna pay a huge penalty for not, for complying, but just complying with the wrong information. Where a phone call, there's only 100 hotels in the city of Winnipeg. You can tell me for something like, if they didn't send in a document, they ignored the assessor, I get it. But this man did not ignore the assessor. He complied, he thought he was complying, and he made an error. The city should have called him and let him know that he made an error. He wants to participate in the system. He's not avoiding the system. And that is the problem in the past, is the hoteliers were avoiding the assessor. This man is not, never has. He just has some issues now that don't allow him to be as intuitive as he used to be. I will assist him going forward every April on the submittals. But I think it's totally unfair, and it's, if there is extenuating circumstances, they're absolutely going to be explained. If you'd like documentation as to the severity of his injuries, I can provide that.
No, we don't need medical history of individuals. Questions of,
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
okay, Lynn, any questions?
I just kind of have one. Is there nobody else connected with this business?
It's a family-run business. And he is the mother was and she passed away right around the time he had this accident. If you go into the documentation, also his account of many, many years was dealing with cancer. So there's a lot going on in this man's life, plus his injury. So things unfortunately fell through the crack. And it's not that it fell through the crack, it's just that he filed the wrong particular document. And as I said, I will, if you're an individual, proud individual, strong individual who's dealt with this particular property, it's a tough property to deal with too. It's in a, kind of on the border of Central and Wolseley. You're dealing with all kinds of individuals, and he manages he runs a tight ship. And that's the way he's always done it. He's a proud man. He is not, I guess, one to let go of the reins very easily. But he's gonna need some assistance, I guess, moving forward.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, I've got no specific questions, so, yeah, and the board will pause to make our decision, and in this instance, I think you guys are gonna have to discuss at length. We'll keep this room. You guys can move out in the hallway. Okay, in this instance, we are going to grant the non-co-op. The essential case on this issue is the Legerson decisions. They make clear that once a request has been made and not responded to, there's no more, the board has the concept of fairness doesn't further enter into the equation. So in this instance, they did not send the requested information, so we have no choice but to grant the non-co-op.
If I may, it was responded to. It was responded to incorrectly. It was not ignored. I mean, that.
Yes, but there was the requested information was the important part. And we read the letter in detail and did request the most recent financials.
That's kind of open-ended in the most recent.
Well, most recent year end.
Dated.
But that's the board's ruling.
Okay.
So you can proceed then with your presentation.
I'll begin?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're here for 101 Sherbrooke Street. Roll number is 12097300600, and the file is 19338. It's a 4-story property, built 1965, on the corner of Westminster and Sherbrooke. It occupies two lots, one being the hotel site and the other being a parking lot further down Westminster. The original assessment was $2,111,000, and I'm requesting an amendment to $1,245,000. The assessor, I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but we've agreed to the number of $1,245,000.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We had prior discussion, and the only issue in our mind was the deferral, and that's been ruled on. I have no objection to reducing the value with the deferral penalty to $1,245,000.
Okay, and that's based on the information in your presentation.
That's correct. And if I can draw your attention to, I didn't have my pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th page, where you'll see a spreadsheet here.
Okay.
Now you'll see that the line 9, I guess, total sales. And as I said in my original presentation, this thing really has done very little but $2,500,000 since 2012. There's no surprises here. This it's amazing, you know, in the environment that he's in, that he's able to maintain the income revenue. So, well, you've already made your decision, so I'm not going to beat dead horse. Thank you.
Okay, questions on his presentation?
No questions.
Any questions from the panel?
No questions.
Okay, and you already accepted his number, so we don't need to go into
Yes, thank you.
your presentation, so thank you very much for that.
We're adjourned.
Yes, we're adjourned.
Thank you very much.